Today we're going to show you a really cool Chrome app for iOS and also a way to get rid of that silly little wall wart so you can charge your iPad. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here. Welcome to iPad 365, the show where we look at apps to keep your iPad aplay. It is Wednesday and we're going to show you a nice little utility, but first I want to let you know Twitter handle is iPad 365. iPad 365, and I'd like to thank everybody that has been adding iPad 365 to Twitter. It's really shown. We've got some great numbers. Thank you very much. Of course, the email is ipad365show@gmail.com. ipad365show@gmail.com. So feel free to email me, ask your questions, and I'll respond to you there. I'm very vocal about the fact that I don't like Safari. Never have, never will. It just doesn't seem to work ever. I'm not a fan of it. I am always looking for a new browser. And of course, I've tried the other browsers, the Dolphin browser, Yahoo Access, and of course, Firefox Junior. Once it comes out, I'll be testing that as well. But during Google I/O, Google came out with the Chrome iOS app, which is great. And the one thing that's great about this, it looks exactly like the desktop app. You use it exactly like you would your desktop or your laptop app, Chrome, on there. So there's no changes on it. It's very familiar. There's even a point where you can actually sync between the iPad and the desktop or the laptop, so you have the same tabs, you have the same history. It's all merged together, and it's great. And I just really enjoy this app to do my browsing on, because there's nothing strange. There's no pull down menus, there's no pop-up menus or anything like that. Yahoo Access, it was great. It still is great, but it just seems to be very busy. And there are some things I like about Yahoo Access, but for the most part, after about 2 weeks, I was pretty much back to Safari. With Chrome, that's not the case, because I know Chrome and I can use Chrome and go from there. The only problem with Chrome, and this is a problem I talked about on Geeksmack, is the fact that the browser cannot become the default browser. So every time I use another application, like maybe a Flipboard or something like that, and says, hey, do you want to go into your browser to look at this? I say yes, and then it instantly goes into Safari. Maybe in the next release we will see the ability to change the default browser, and when that happens, I will be so glad. And I think this right now, this is the forerunner to the application that I'm going to use for my browser. Now, I know some of you probably don't like Chrome. You probably like Firefox instead. We'll see what happens with when Firefox Junior does come out. They finally showed some of Firefox Junior, and of course it'll come out to, I believe, to Android before it'll come out to iOS. We'll see what happens. But once it does come out, we will do a full look at Firefox Junior as well. So anyway, nothing. If you've used Chrome, you know what it is. It's got one bar right at the top that you use to search, or you put in your browser terms. Of course, I've got iPad 365 up here already, and that's pretty much it. So if you want to check it out, you can go over to the App Store and download Chrome absolutely free. One thing I want to show you before we move on here, I do have some other websites, including the Day in Tech History over at dayintechhistory.com. You can check that out. But I also have Dorkazine. Dorkazine is a website that's basically dorky information. Like, for instance, we talked about the Arrested Development plush Tobias Funk Blue Man. We've got the Windows Phone 7 Easter egg, get free bacon, and of course Elon Musk, the real life Iron Man, so on and so forth. You can check it out over at dorkazine.com. Dorkazine.com, think magazine, take out the mag, put in a dork, and you got Dorkazine. And we'll be updating that daily. So go over to dorkazine.com, and I thank you very much. All right. So you're at your house, and you've got all these wall warts everywhere, including the wall wart for your iPad to charge it up. Maybe you've got the iPhone wall wart, and you just don't want to pay $30 for the bigger one that actually charges your iPad a little bit more. Well, there are some other options. If you think that those wall warts are really ugly, which I kind of do, then you can check this out. This is a company called NewerTech, and we saw them at CES. They sent me one of these. This is called the Power 2U. And what it is simply a plug outlet that you can replace on your regular plug outlets, and it gives you 2 USB ports as well. Now, before we go any further, You should have somebody that has a good knowledge of electricity, licensed electrician, change out these plugs. If you feel comfortable doing it, make sure that, of course, your power is off. Test the plug before you go changing it, because especially with some of these older houses, you never know when errant voltage is coming through the house, and you don't want to get electrocuted. I don't want you to get electrocuted, that's for sure. So with that safety tip out of the way, here's how it works. So we're going to take this out of the case. What you have is this plug, and it's got two grounded plugs right at the front. And then it's got these two little doors. And in these doors, you have USB chargers. Now, the cool thing about this is it knows if it's an iPhone that plugs in, if it's an iPad that plugs in, if it's an Android that plugs in. It figures out the voltage and then gives you the correct voltage for that. Now, on the back, of course, you'll need to have a wall that has, or a box that can fit this bigger unit. So if you've got an older house with the two-prong plugs as opposed to three-prong plugs, you might not want to put it into that because the box will probably be too small. But if you have an electrical box, or if you replace out the electrical box and put it in there, you want to make sure, of course, you're on a grounded plug, which it's pretty easy to do an electrical conversion from a two-prong plug to a three-prong plug grounded to the box there. And once again, that's all. If you bring an electrician, they'll tell you everything that you need to know. But the bottom line is you put the positive cable on one side and you put the negative cable on the other side. There's a gold side and there's a silver side, and that's what tells you which one's positive, which one is negative. And then, of course, you put it back into the wall, set it into the wall, and you've got yourself a regular plug. And once again, you get the little doors, you slide the door, you plug in your USB device. It will know whether it's an iPad, it will know whether it's an iPhone, and it will charge it appropriately. And that's this episode of iPad 365. What'd you think? Have you downloaded the Chrome app? Do you like the Chrome app? Let me know. Twitter me at iPad365. Of course, iPad365show@gmail.com is the email address. All right, thanks a lot for watching. We will be back in 24 when it will be another episode of iPad 365. We will have a productivity app for you to take a look at. So we'll see you then, and until then, you guys geek out. You should follow Graphite on Twitter at GraphiteINC.